Wow. Stu,
Yes.
is that better?
Yes, I think so. Talk a little.
Okay.
Yep, let's rock. Tara, talking to your mic? Yes, good.
You can hear me?
And you're live. We're ready to rock.
Well,
No. First
so
question.
good to be alive.
I'm gonna mute everybody and then you're ready to rock.
Y'all good?
Doing good, but there's a blue one.
Hello.
Mary and Tara, just unmute yourself and you're ready to rock. Oh, actually, Adam has to unmute himself. It's on Adam's computer. Now we're good.
Shabbat shalom to all. Oof. Technology, the gateway to prayer. We're beginning with Dodi Lee on page 11.
Dodili vanilo haroe bashoshanim dodili vanilo haroe Shoshanim Dodili Mizotola Min Hamidbar Mizotola Min Hamidbar Dodili vanilo haroe bashoshanim dodili. My beloved is mine as I am my beloved's, who browses among the lilies. This setting was written by Cantor Stephen Scher, whom we lost this week. Cantor Scher was a beloved figure in the Reformed Jewish community, and this setting has been used as hundreds of thousands of brides have walked up the aisle. This setting of the Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, is traditionally sung right before Shabbat to signify the romantic mood we are getting in, the mood of unity we are about to embark upon, which is embodied in this poem attributed to King Solomon. And so we sing before Shabbat, especially among Sephardic communities, these words of romance and love. Dodili vanilo haroe bashoshanim dodili.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
It's great to see your faces, all of your faces. This Shabbat, I am very thankful for having had a few days away in Maine, heavenly time with family. I'm thankful that we had our, the amazing woman who cleans our home came after 4 months. Wow. We can be thankful for all those people that hold our life up in new ways. I'm also thankful for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for his sweeping hook shot, a photo of which was on Mayor's wall as a boy, and for his recent column in the Hollywood Reporter in which he said, quote, "There has been a shocking lack of massive indignation over recent statements that perpetuate anti-Semitic canards. He condemns messages by Ice Cube, Jackson, Chelsea Handler, a Jew, and Stephen Jackson, writing, quote, "If it's okay to discriminate against one group of people by hauling out cultural stereotypes without much pushback, it must be okay to do the same with others." I'm thinking as well of Barry Weiss of the New York Times, who just left her position because of the way she was treated by non-Jews and by Jews. So many who condemned her for her views about race, about Israel. And I am praying that this Shabbat, this evening, our time together, our song, our private reflections, our insights, our connections can raise us up, can renew in us a thirst for honesty and equity and compassion. May our collective strength give us courage to speak our truth, and may that commitment be expressed each time we open our mouths. May our prayer tonight ignite in us a pride in our own spiritual heritage, and may it replenish in us strength and hope in our ongoing quest for justice and for peace. And thinking about those who quest for learning, justice, and peace, it's really an honor to invite the Kessners, Marcy and Gary, to kindle some Shabbat lights. We're on page 2.
Light first, and then you bless. You know that.
Unmute first.
Oh,
Then
no, unmute first.
Okay.
Exactly. Why don't- Good.
Yes.
That's good.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen.
Gary and Marcy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Shabbat candles.
And I'm sad to hear about Cantor Sher. Cantor Sher was our cantor at Temple Israel, and he was a wonderful man.
Wow. I want to thank Mark Bartner, who actually pointed out and emailed me and to tell me about Steve Sher. So, thank you. Okay.
Continuing with Lechu Neranana, we're on page 12.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, lekad mafana betoda. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. We
Take
continue.
a breath, breathe out anything you need to let go of from this week. We move to page 16, Zamru l'Adonai b'chinor, thinking about all the songs and sounds of life.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, bechatzatzrot v'kol shofar. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות עמך וכב יחד, הרים ירננו. לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה. נהרות עמך וכב יחד, הרים ירננו. נהרות עמך וכב יחד, הרים ירננו. We're at the bottom. We're going to replace Mike. We're going to actually have a brief intermission in which a microphone is replaced. And now, one of our rabbis will speak about one of the psalms which we are about to sing, because I'm going to talk a little bit too, because we're trying to test the mic as we replace it. And I'll know shortly if it actually is working, because someone will give me a high sign and let me know that it is working, indeed. And we are at the bottom of page 17. And now that we have fixed our technical issues, we can get on with our praises. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu v'hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho.
I just want to share a thought that occurred to me. The last line we just offered, Romamu. Wait, are we about to do L'chadodi?
We are about to do
yes.
L'chadodi.
The last line we just offered is Romamu, which is about rising up. Stand up, get up. And it occurs to me that moment in our Kabbalat Shabbat service, stand up, it also connects to L'chadodi. I mean, everything connects to everything else, actually, but it's a thoughtful connection. It's on my mind. At the end of L'chadodi, it is a traditional, widespread, long-standing tradition to rise at the end of L'chadodi as we embrace the idea and the experience of covenant and relationship and unconditional love. And this standing up is interesting because it suggests movement and activity and a sense of assertiveness. But the irony in this is that actually it's all on Shabbat, in which Shabbat is really about being able to be still and to not feel like we're in the business of creating and doing and mastering and striving. So somehow maybe the idea or the paradox or the, I don't know, subtle thought is that Shabbat is not only a time to learn to sit, it's a time to learn that even our standing, our rising, is somehow pointing to us to our core sense of being. Even as we strive to rise, it's actually helping us or pointing to us, whispering to us this is like a yoga idea. You and Sharon master this. Anyway, okay, L'chadodi, page.
And also acknowledging there's so many ways to rise. You know, there are times
yes.
when we can't get up out of our seat, but we can rise. And there's times when we get up out of our seat, but we're not truly rising. So however that rising up, whatever that means to you, we're on page 20.
Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu El hamyuchad Adonai echad U'shemo echad l'shem multiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Hidnari me'afar kumi livshi bigdei tifartechami ayad ben Yishai betalach mikarva al nafshi ge'ala lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, shir daberi kevod Adonai, halayich nigla. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Now rise to your feet or in your hearts, whichever is most comfortable, as we welcome the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gan besimcha, uv'tzola, toch emunei, am segula, boi kala. Boi kala יקרא קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי יקרא קלה בני שבת נקבלה יה לה 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 יה לה 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 야 라이라이라이라 야 라이라이라 야 라이라
Moving now to page 22, these beautiful verses. Tzaddik katamar ifrach. The tzaddik, the righteous person, is going to bloom katamar, like the date palm. I've heard many teachings about this. One is that, that a palm tree grows straight. So we're thinking about a straight vision for what is just, for what is right. But also that the actual shadow of the palm tree, it's often far away, right? It's got this long, skinny trunk, and then the shadow is far away. When we make decisions that are coming from a place of a deep righteousness, we don't always see the impact immediately, but we trust that that shadow will fall. It's the indented paragraph, bottom of 22. Okay, I believe that some of our sound issues are continuing. Cantor, if you want, you could use our mic, but you'll let us know.
Pews.
So make a down thumb if you cannot hear the cantor.
Right. You can't hear the cantor.
Okay. No cantor. Okay. I promise you, he sounds great. And now would be a good time. We're going to break out into breakout rooms. So the other Rabbi, Feldman, will give you some directions for a breakout room.
Okay, so yes, Greg and Stu will put us in a breakout room in a moment, but here's the question, whether you're with us via Zoom or whether you're on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. The question that we want to encourage you to talk about is simple, but connects to something later on. What's something you really love to do? Something that just feels it's so core to you. You love doing it and it makes you feel good. Okay, that's the question. Something you love to do.
So if you're Zooming, you'll be put in a breakout room now. If not, you can talk about that with the person sitting next to you, or you can just reflect on it. Take some quiet moments if you happen to be alone.
Hey, friends.
Hey, friends. What's something you
Hello.
love to do? Oops, let me unmute myself. Can you hear me? Shabbat Shalom. Can you guys hear me?
Shabbat shalom. How are you?
Hello, Dave.
Yeah. We are back. It was very nice to go outside for extended periods, and they have no infection.
Wow. You look refreshed.
Pretty amazing. Great to be out in the fresh air.
Hello, I'm Bob. I don't know if anyone can see me.
Yes.
We see you.
Oh,
Bob.
good. Oh, good. It's nice to be with you, one way or the other, and staying healthy too.
You can't see me, but I'm here. Cindy, can anybody hear me?
Yes, hello, Cindy.
Yes, Cindy Gold, we hear you.
Fortunately, you can't see me, but I'm so wonderful to hear all of you. And then I haven't met the new cantor, and I can't wait.
Oh, he's very good. I heard him last week. Very nice.
You think we'll be together for the holidays?
Oh, God.
Or is it going to be virtual like this?
We don't know.
We won't know.
We don't know. We have to take day to day,
That's right.
one day at a time. One of the things we love to do is to sit in the synagogue on Friday nights.
Yep,
Right?
I did.
I think we all love that and we all miss that very
Absolutely.
much. Sitting next to people and chatting easily and wishing Shabbat Shalom. We can't do it now.
It's
Having
nice
a
to
piece of cake and tea isn't bad either.
What?
Having a piece of cake afterwards wasn't bad.
Oh, that's right. We had all the bakers.
That wasn't bad. People
the
baked.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Les. Thank you. How about
Good
you?
to see you. Good to see
Shabbat
you.
shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I don't know if I'm muted, maybe. Am I
No,
muted?
you're okay. You're
We
okay.
hear you, Jane.
We hear
Well,
you.
it's good to see all of you. And our question for tonight, or what we were supposed to talk about a little, is what gives us a great deal of pleasure now. And I'm in Martha's Vineyard with my sister-in-law, and I get up and go out and take a nice long walk every morning. And it's really very nice to be in nature, because we can't be with lots of different people. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'll be back in New York in a couple of weeks. And then
Who
Who's
is
that talking?
walks.
What a nice place to be.
Yes, it is. I'm very lucky. Very fortunate.
God, you just reminded me when I was a teenager, many, many moons ago. I used to go bike riding on the trips out there.
Oh, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
We see a lot of bikers,
Great place for it.
Yes, it
Good
is.
exercise. I just walk. Actually, I'm in Charlotte now, and there's an area to walk safely.
Oh,
But
wow.
just to be safe is a big thing today. Enjoy people's smiles and feeling healthy enough.
Well, you've got a very good smile, so that's
Oh,
great.
thank you.
Happy.
Thank you so much. My wife takes good care of me.
Good.
That's so nice.
That's great.
Not easy.
You moved there? Did you move to Charlotte? Did you move
Yes,
there?
I did. I did.
Oh.
I'm still working with it. Actually, on the things the temple works on, good on interfaith relations, and I just sent something American Jewish Committee on the need for better option development, and I'd work with the UN and the NGO and mental health and faith and the whole slew, and Rabbi Davidson, Rabbi Waxman with a change of with a Catholic Holy See from. Actually, it's encouraging, changing attitudes from hostility and violence to one of covenantal partnership and friendship. And that's something I still work on, including with the polarization issues, whether it's in this country, Israel, all over the world. And we all need God's help. So I'm in the right place, right? I've been saying we need to engage God and each other more constructively. And I just sent, I don't know if I sent the Feldmans, but I'm sure they'll get it. Rabbi Klass and another Rabbi Nichols about reconciling the North and the South to a more civilized, ethical, humanist, spiritual state. That's based on the 10 Commandments and the Feldman's good work that they were just doing with the Christian, Jewish, black and white issues. It's a mess.
What was it that brought you to Charlotte anyway?
Frankly, I had financial problems.
There's
I was
1
doing
minute
this for
left.
What's that? You had what
1
problems?
minute left.
financial problems. I was doing it, working with people at the UN for 2 decades. I
Oh,
really never had enough money. It was things actually Rabbi Davidson and I got involved with. But
well, good luck. Good luck
thank you, Stu.
in your new home.
Thank you. The spirit of Temple Beth-El, where I was born and brought up, and my grandfather, I.G. Wolf, was one of the founders of it. My sister Nancy and Eric Moore are still there. And Roberta and the Feldmans are all very terrific.
What are you doing?
Who's the one, who's talking from Charlotte? What's the name of
Robert
the,
Larrick.
what's the name?
Larrick, L-A-R-I-C-K. You might
Thank
know my
you,
sister,
thank you.
Nancy and Eric.
Good chats, good connecting with others. It's always nice to have a little back and forth in this very frontal medium. We are moving now to Shalom Aleichem, thinking about the many, many angels in our community, some of whom you just encountered. Shalom Aleichem is on page 24. I see some of you without Sidurim. Remember, if you want one brought to you, just call the main office. A Sidur, a prayer book, will get one to you.
Shalom Aleichem is about the ministering angels that accompany us on Shabbat. And I'm hoping now that the technology angels are also accompanying us, making sure that all of our microphones are working. If you can hear me, give me a good thumbs up.
Need louder.
Louder? Louder! I'm going to be louder. And hopefully that will be good. I see Robert is holding his thumb up, and that is excellent. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mi melech, Malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mi melech, Malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. איתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ויהי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Rising now for Baruch Hu, in body or in spirit, however we are able to rise, page 28.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם
So immediately after rising for the Baruch Hu, that our call to worship, we think about the cosmos. So I'm wondering if any of you have heard on the news anything about the comet Neowise. It can be seen this very weekend after sunset above the northwestern horizon as it moves farther from the sun. The comet's nucleus is 3 miles wide, a snowball of sorts, collections of rock and dust all bound together with frozen ices and gas, left over from the formation of the solar system about 4.6 billion years ago. As a comet gets closer to the sun, the gases start to boil off and vapor is created, which leaves behind that visible tail. Said University of Arizona astrophysicist Amy Mainzer, as soon as we saw how close it would come to the sun, we had hopes that we would put on a good show. And next week, specifically on July 22nd, it will pass between just about 65 million miles from Earth before heading out once more for the far reaches of the solar system on an orbit that will take roughly 6,800 years. So I was driving when I heard this, and I just had a sense of comfort about the vastness of it all. That is Ma'ariv Aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim.
Amen.
Page 32, Avat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ויורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ויהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. מי כמוך, page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ויאמרו, זה אלינו ויאמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. לי 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 lai, yai, lai, 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 lai. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
42, Hashkivenu.
We're at the bottom of the Hebrew, the last 3 lines, or the last 2 lines at the bottom of the page, if you'd like to join us there. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
As on page 46, we rise in body or spirit.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Page 50. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עבר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Page 52, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך, סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Taking a few moments for our own private prayers, words on the page, the words within our hearts. We'll meet up again around page 62. Now bridging to our prayer for healing, Misha Berach, 253. Feel free to write in the chat the names of anyone you're thinking of who's in need of healing of any kind, trusting that our collective energy, our focus, our love can indeed bring healing, strength, hope. 253.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I've said this and thought it many times that it's so apt that our Misha Berach prayer for healing immediately precedes the drash, the sermon of our Torah, because ultimately, when we put the words in the Torah back in the ark every time, we say the prayer that we recite is that may the words of Torah be sweet, may they be paths of peace, and so that's what every sermon really is meant to be. Vaya'al Aharon Kohen, Aaron went up, El Hor Hahar, up to the Mount of Mounts, the mountain called Hor. Al Pi Adonai, according to the P, the Peh, the mouth, the command of God, the Yamot Sham, and he died there. Bishnat ha'arba'im, Letzet b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, and that was specifically on the 40th year after the exodus from Egypt, and this is the part that's most critical. B'chodesh ha'chamishi, on the 5th month, be'achad l'chodesh, on the first day of the 5th month. Nisan is the 1st month, Iyar 2nd, Sivan 3rd, Tammuz 4th, that's where we're now, Tammuz, and shortly we'll be in the 5th month, the month of Av. In this week's Parsha, we learn a little known, seemingly trivial piece of information, which is Aaron's yortzeit. Rosh Chodesh Av is Aaron's yortzeit. As Av follows Tammuz, and today is the 26th of Tammuz, in about 5 days we'll observe Aaron's yortzeit. Yes, Aaron was Moses' big brother and the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. But Aaron's immortal gift, his claim to fame, his holy spark, was that he was the Ohev Shalom, the Rodef Shalom. He was the lover of Shalom and the Rodef, the pursuer of Shalom, where most of us, maybe all of us, know the name of the temple up on the Upper West Side, Rodef Shalom. That's Aaron, the pursuer, the chaser after Shalom. Every child, adult, spouse, parent, grandparent, friend, partner, everyone knew Aaron's great gift. Aaron always understood the little touch to bring, the what spark, what word, what ear, what effort, what kindness that would make the difference. But here's the question. Why does the Torah tell us this piece of information? Why does the Torah feel that Aaron's yortzeit is so important for us to know on the 5th month, on the first day of that month, in the 40th year? That's my question. But before my question, I want to share with you, tell you that I'm also thinking about the yortzeit of my 2 grandmothers. Grandma, my dad's mom, her yortzeit is on Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. Nana, my mom's mom, her yortzeit happens to be on the 10th of Av, the next day. So this time of year, it has a power on a very personal level for me. I loved my 2 grandmothers. Both of them were a source of enormous peace for me and for my brother and sister. Regarding yortzeits, this idea of yortzeit, I learned this week from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson that there is no other biblical character whose yortzeit we find in the Torah. We don't know the yortzeit of a single biblical character, not one. Not Adam and Eve, or Noah, or his family, Abraham, or Sarah, or Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, Leah. We don't know the yortzeit of even one. Same goes for Jacob's 12 sons and his daughter Dinah. Same for Moses and Zipporah. We don't know the yortzeit for any of them, not one except for Aaron. So our question is even a little bit more interesting, more curious. Why Aaron? I'm thinking about yortzeit for other reasons as well. 135,000 Americans have died in the last months. Almost 600,000 people around the world have died, all from corona. And as well, last week, we mentioned this last week, we began what we call the 3 weeks that lead up to Tisha B'Av. We're in the middle of the saddest, darkest window of time in our whole calendar. The 17th of Tammuz last week begins the 3 weeks. That was the day that Moses broke the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments in chapter 32 of Exodus. In the year 70 CE, on the 17th of Tammuz, the Romans breached the walls of Jerusalem. And 3 weeks later, hence why we call this period the 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, on the 9th of Av, the Roman general Titus arrived to the Temple Mount, and according to the Roman and Jewish historian Josephus, with his own eyes, Titus witnessed rabbis hurling, arching spears at each other. That's what Josephus tells us that Titus witnessed. Rabbis hurling, arching spears at each other. And as the priests carried sacrifices into the temple with spears going over their head. Titus reportedly said, maybe I don't have to destroy this city and this temple because they'll just do it to themselves. Maybe they'll just do it to themselves. On Tisha B'Av, the Roman army destroyed the temple and ended Jewish sovereignty over the land of Israel for almost 2,000 years. So yes, this is a very dark time in our calendar and in our country. I've tried to imagine these 3 weeks in the context of U.S. history. Obviously, there are many, many possible ways of applying or creating a 3 weeks here in the U.S. Here's one. The Civil War began on April 12, 1861. 620,000 American men died in that war. That was 2% of the U.S. population. By far, the Civil War was the most devastating war in our history. Remember, it was a civil war. Imagine if we Americans instituted a 3-week period of deep introspection. It might begin every year on March 22nd, 3 weeks before April 12th, and recognize that the end of the 3 weeks would be the day the Civil War began, April 12th. The Jewish 3 weeks ends the day the temple was destroyed and we Jews lost our sovereignty. The American 3 weeks could end the day the Civil War began. As Jews, we could offer Yortzeit, not only for all those who died in this period leading up to Tisha B'Av in the year 70 CE, but as Americans, we could offer Yortzeit for the 600,000 who died in that most destructive American war. The U.S. Civil War almost destroyed America. The Roman War did destroy Jewish life and Jewish identity for 2,000 years. Both were wars within civil society. In both, we fought each other. Our internal animosity is what brought us down. The Yortzeit is one of the many halachic rituals of these weeks of national loss. Our communal rituals parallel the mourning and grieving practices in moments of personal loss. We don't do celebrations, no weddings, no engagements. We don't play instruments or listen to music. We don't cut our hair. And on the holiday or the day of Tisha B'Av itself, we conclude with a 24-hour fast, just like Yom Kippur. In addition, we don't wear perfumes and we don't wear shoes. And we, of course, say Kaddish. We observe Yortzeit. But let me return to my question. What's the significance of Aaron's Yortzeit? Why does the Torah choose to tell us Aaron's Yortzeit and no others? And I want to share 3 stories that I learned from Rabbi Jacobson. And hidden within each of these little vignettes, little stories, is the answer to our question. The first story comes from the Sfat Emet, one of the great Hasidic rabbis. He died in the year 1904. He was the grandson of the Chidushei Harim, the founder of the Gur dynasty. The Sfat Emet told a story about a person who felt a great honor, just an average Jew, who felt a great honor to be present for every family that happened to lose a loved one. Anytime someone died, said the Sfat Emet, this humble Jew, anytime someone died or a family was sitting Shiva, this man would go to the funeral and then return to the mourner's home. What made him more remarkable was that he always took off his shoes as he entered a home. The custom for every mourner was to remove your shoes. So this humble Jew was so full of empathy and compassion that he took his shoes off in every home of mourning. That was his mitzvah. If anyone was mourning, he would join them and he'd remove his shoes. As it turned out, as the Sfat Emet told this story, this modest but beloved Jew happened to die on Tisha B'Av. And you may know that the custom on Tisha B'Av, when Jews come to read Lamentations, is to remove our shoes. It's as if all of Israel, every year on the 9th of Av, feels duty-bound to honor this humble Jew who always honored those who'd lost a loved one. Humble story number one. Here's number two. Rabbi Jacobson's grandma suffered greatly as a young person. She came to America, yes, and had 9 children. And yes, there was much for her to celebrate, and that she did celebrate. But most of her family, as a young person, was murdered by the Nazis. She had many reasons to suffer from depression, to have emotional struggles. And one time, she went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. She asked him for his advice on how to confront her darkness, her depression, her paralysis that she often felt. Without delay, he seemed to know. He said to her, he asked her, "I've heard that you love to dance. Is that right?" "Yes," she said tentatively, but not knowing why he was asking. Worried maybe that he'd seen her dance at a wedding and he felt that it was inappropriate. She didn't know why he was asking. The Rebbe continued. He said to her, "This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to every wedding possible. At every wedding you go to, I want you to dance. I want you to let yourself enjoy what you love. Dance. That's what I suggest you do. That's my advice for your depression." From that moment on, she went to every wedding she could. Not just weddings of family and friends. She went and danced at hundreds of weddings of people she didn't even know. Yes, it's a simple story, but I think with a deep insight. Third story. This is a story as well about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And I think the story answers the simple and central question: why does our Parsha tell us Aaron's yortzeit, although it does this for no other big biblical figure? Only for Aaron. Why is that? So Parsha Maseh, Matot Maseh, we're in the double portion now. This Parsha Maseh, which is the last Parsha of the book of Numbers, always is read the Shabbat before the first 9 days of Av. And this Parsha always precedes immediately the Parsha of Deuteronomy, Devarim. And the Parsha Devarim always precedes Tisha B'Av. Deuteronomy is always the Shabbat before the 9th of Av. And our Parsha is always read Shabbat before the 1st of Av. So we recall Aaron's yortzeit every year just before the month of Av begins, just before the darkest time in our calendar. We remember Aaron as we begin the month of Av. It's so brilliant. It's so obvious as soon as we see it. The month that is the saddest, hardest month of the year brings our greatest challenge. Our greatest challenge is not Rome. Our greatest challenge is not anti-Semitism. Every one of our catastrophes, teaches the Talmud, is the result of internecine struggles, battles, and hatreds. Yes, anti-Semites are everywhere these days, but they are not our greatest challenge. For sure, they're not the challenge we're called to focus on in these 3 weeks. I learned from Rabbi Jacobson that the Lubavitcher Rebbe had an expression: the remedy comes before the challenge. The remedy precedes the challenge. It's not the opposite. The reason there is a problem just may be because there is a remedy for the problem. The reason for the challenge is to help us go higher in our relationships, to learn to love, to listen, to learn, to be open, to understand, to accept when we don't understand. We needn't agree. We don't have to see eye to eye. The goal is not agreeing. The goal is to be like Aaron, to be lovers, rodfei of peace. The challenge is not disagreeing. The challenge is in learning to respect, to appreciate, to honor, to lift up, to open ourselves to those with whom we don't agree. That's why we recall Aaron at this time every year. Aaron's yortzeit is to remind us to be united, to be connected, to learn to love each other, to ask each other questions, to trust one another. Vayivku kol Beit Yisrael. The whole house of Israel mourned. At Aaron's death, every Jew wept. That's what it says in our Parsha. Kol Beit Yisrael. Every home. Not just the homes on the right or the homes on the left, not just those who were rich or those who were poor, not with those who were from the Mideast versus those from Europe. Kol Beit Yisrael. You know what? When Moses dies, we learn this at the end of Torah. The Torah says, Vayivku, same word, and they wept. B'nai Yisrael, they wept. Israel wept. But it does not say Vayivku Kol Yisrael. It doesn't say that every Jew wept. Aaron was the lover of peace between the Jewish people. Aaron was the pursuer of peace for the Jewish people. The reason that Torah tells us his yortzeit, and only his yortzeit, is because he was the one who worked every second of his waking hours to help us connect with each other. Every one of us has a gift. Every person we know has a special holy spark. Every person we love has a truth that's worthy of our ear. Maybe your gift is being the consoler. Maybe you are the one who takes your shoes off, literally or metaphorically, at every person's loss. Maybe your gift is your love of singing. Maybe your spark is your love of dancing. Maybe your love of dance will bring joy and celebration for many others. When Rabbi Jacobson's grandmother died, literally hundreds of people wrote notes of thank you. We didn't know your grandmother, but you have no idea how much joy she brought to us and our family. She didn't even know us. All she wanted to do was to bring joy. Your grandma, Rabbi Jacobson, was an angel in our lives. So, dear Nana and Grandma of mine, you were angels in my life. Nana, your mandel bread was peace. You made it for everyone you knew. That was your most special recipe. Grandma, you died 34 years ago. I can still feel my head resting on your shoulders. You gave me peace just by sitting, just by quietly loving me. Like Aaron, you both brought me peace. Every one of us has a special spark, a precious gift. May Aaron's yortzeit be a reminder to find our gift, our holy spark. May all of you be like Aaron in your pursuit of peace. Shabbat Shalom. We can rise for Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יחיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Thinking now of names for Kaddish. If you hear the name of someone you've come to remember tonight, feel free to rise when you hear that name. Also to add any names to the chat, names for Kaddish Yatom. We are thinking of Ruth Cohen, who died in the last month, and those whose yortzites fall this week. Lillian Burmack, Marion Gans, Martin Goodman, Ida Goldstein, Frida Schaffler, Etta Siegel, Steve Scher, former JTC advisor in the 70s, Clifford Owen Still, and Paul Tartell. All those we name in our hearts. If it's your custom to rise, please do so. 294. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתעלה ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה ברכו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן ועלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. May the one who creates peace and harmony on high bring that to all of us, to all Israel, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, to all humanity. We say one last time, Amen. You may be seated. A few announcements. Let's see. Virtual Oneg tonight. Just stay on and you will end up in the virtual Oneg. If you're interested in hosting in August, we have for the next couple Shabbatot, but if you're interested in virtually hosting, just call the main office, let us know. It's easy. Tomorrow morning, Torah study 9:50, led Shabbat morning service 10:30, Havdalah at 9 p.m. via Facebook Live. Ongoing throughout the summer, we'll have our family Shabbat experience from 6 to 6:30. Everyone's welcome, and coffee with the clergy at 11:30 on Wednesdays. Let's see. This coming Tuesday, the 21st, religious school families, 3:30 to 5. You are welcome to, actually it's the Feldman backyard, to meet Rabbi Amy Roth, to hang out with our wonderful David Wolf and the Feldmans as we begin the process of getting to know each other in our exciting religious school merger for the Kulanu school. And who knows, maybe the Cantor will be there as well. He's a lot of places these days. Thursday, the 23rd, 7 p.m., Sisterhood Rosh Chodesh with none other than Cantor Davis. Wednesday, the 29th at 7 p.m. will be a Tisha B'Av yoga experience via Zoom, an exciting way to think about the relevance of this day of mourning and commemoration. Monday, August 10th, the Sisterhood first annual Zoom pool party. Don't know if you'll get wet, but maybe we'll. And some high holiday things to think about. We'll be sending out a missive very soon with all of our thoughts, our many thoughts and workings on the high holidays. But here's what you can do. Send honey to friends, order your memorial plaques, submit names for the Book of Remembrance, add your name to our Temple Beth-El Rosh Hashanah card. So we're doing lots of thinking, exciting thinking about the high holidays. But you can start now as well. Thank you so much to Cantor Davis, to Rabbi Meir for his beautiful sermon, to Shai for his endless technological efforts and artistic expertise, and of course to the Botwiniks who keep us going as well. Many of you have been cooking and baking for our new Cantor. Thank you. I've also benefited from some of those treats.
Thank you from the bottom of my stomach.
And to the Margaloffs, as always, for challah. So we are going to do Motzi and Kiddush tonight. We are on page 5.
Kiddush first? Yeah, Kiddush. Here, come on over.
Okay. Challah is being transported, and as wine is to the other pulpit. It's a long pulpit. Okay, here it is. If you have a glass, feel free to raise it, taking in the sweetness of I hope this week has brought you some sweetness. Beautiful. I see those glasses.
Hold up your glasses. Raise your glass. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat.
Raising up, if you have a challah, a bagel, a piece of toast, a cracker, raise it up. We'd love to see it. We'd love to feel that we're part of your table.
A breadstick.
And if not, imagine you're tasting ours. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Cantor, take us home.
Beyado af kidruchi beit ishan ve'ahira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear, safely in your hands. Draw me near, I shall not fear, safely in your hands. Beyado av kidruchi ve'etishan ve'aira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira ve'imruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira.
Shabbat shalom all.
Shabbat shalom,
Have a wonderful
everybody.
Shabbat.
Shabbat
See you Torah study tomorrow or Havdalah tomorrow night. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Everybody.
Nice to be with you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Oh, thank you.
Freeman, Shabbat shalom, Robert.
Shabbat shalom, Cantor Davis.
Nice to Gabby. Great
Shabbat
day.
shalom לכולם.
Shabbat shalom, Mark.
Everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Gabi,
Cantor.
Primo Gabi.
Shabbat shalom.
Great day.
Oh,
Karen.
Dr.
Nice to see you.
Cecil. Okay, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom, Ann. Hi, Ann. Hi, Linda. Hi.
Shabbat shalom, Cindy.
Shabbat shalom.